Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to another professional match of StarCraft 2. Now, what I got for you today is a supposedly crazy match, an insane game of Zerg versus Zerg. And I don't know what everyone else's experiences are, but usually when I play Zerg versus Zerg, and I play a lot of them because, you know, I play on the European ladder at like 5 point something MMR, and it seems to be that there's like 80% Zerg versus Zerg. In my personal experiences, ZVZ has this tendency to end within like the first 10 minutes, sometimes the first 5 minutes, sometimes the first 2 minutes of the game. I once heard someone describe Zerg versus Zerg as a knife fight inside of a phone booth, which I personally think, you guys know phone booths, right? I don't need to explain that, right? You know, it kind of feels like that, right? You're really close up against each other, and whoever stabs the other dude first with banelings or sometimes roaches will usually be the one who obtains the victory. But apparently this game right here is a little bit crazy. Now, before I ramble onwards, let's go ahead and get started by introducing the players. Now, I've actually covered both of these players extensively on the channel, and actually very recently as well. But regardless, spawning here in the bottom left-hand corner of Lost and Found LE. He's the winner of BlizzCon 2017. That does make him the current world champion of StarCraft, but I've got a feeling that he's likely gonna be overthrown in just a couple weeks. We have none other than Rogue. Very, very strong Zerg player, of course. No one's really gonna doubt him. And his opponent, spawning here in the top right-hand corner of the map. He's playing with the blue Zerg drones. He's from Italy, and he goes by the name of Reynor. Reynor, of course, very much so still up and coming, but he's already going toe-to-toe with the best of the best, and I would definitely consider Rogue to be one of the greatest, if not the best Zerg player on the planet right now. It's a little hard to say, right? We've got players like, for example, Zero, like, for example, Rogue, like, for example, Dark and Sue. I think those four are going to be the best Zerg players right now on the planet. I don't think there's really a whole lot of dispute, but Reynor really is getting awfully close to that skill level already, and this dude seems to improve month to month, more so than anyone else. So I'm excited to see what 2019 will bring, because, man, I'm such a nerd, seriously. I can talk about StarCraft for so long, but seriously, it's exciting to see how good all of these players are. And hopefully how good they're all gonna become, because StarCraft skill level right now it's crazy, man. The StarCraft skill level, it's continuously going up, and if you want to compete at the highest level, you gotta make sure you put in the work. Some people ask, like, Lowko, how did these players become so good? Are they just very talented, or how does it work? Well, sure enough, right? Some of them are very, very talented. But most of them just simply practice their butts off. There were a lot of rumors going around that players like, for example, Flash in StarCraft 1, he basically did not take days off, and he would practice about 14 hours a day. Now, obviously, those are mostly just rumors, and people do genuinely think that most people will practice up to like 12, 13, maybe 14 hours a day. A lot of the top-level players even have like chefs and personal fitness trainers and all that just to make sure they are in top form and that they don't have to worry about anything but playing. So sure, talent is gonna be an important thing, but practicing your butt off is very, very critical as well. Although, you know, in Flash's defense, apparently the rumor also was going around that when Flash was in high school, he was earning about $400,000 in salary a year. Now, those are all rumors. All these things are not really confirmed anywhere, but there's no denying that financially speaking, it makes sense, you know, to have a personal chef and to have a personal fitness trainer and to have all these things just so you could practice so hard as you possibly can. Anyways, so far, very standard opener here from both players, actually. We've seen a lot more of this, like, passive roach play over the last couple of months. Obviously, there's still a lot of super aggressive Zerg styles as well, where you go for Lings and Banes, and it does look like we have some of that coming up here as well. Rogue did decide to go for a much quicker armor upgrade, which is pretty interesting. It is going to allow him to survive a single Baneling hit, but this is one of those things that has been happening a lot more in recent times of Zerg vs. Zerg, just because what Reynor is doing here is pretty common these days. He's not really playing nearly as aggressive as you normally would, you know? Already going for a really quick evolution chamber there, going for the +1 missile. It's like this interesting gentleman's agreement where neither player really wants to commit to too much aggression. Now, +1 armor though is a really powerful upgrade. It really does allow you to keep your Zerglings alive much longer. The 3 queens are gonna be very, very valuable. And while it does look like we won't really have the option to go for any banelings right now, both players once again signing that gentleman's agreement to go straight into roaches because they know the opponent is really good at defending the baneling play, so usually you don't really get the value that you're looking for. I think we're gonna probably just transition straight towards that roach tech, right? There we go. Roach is already coming up here for Reynor. We see Glio Reconstitution for Rogue. But I like this. He went for the +1 armor, now going into the +1 missile. And he's already got the Spire coming up too. So this is going to be an upgraded Roach style, but he's still going to go for Mutalisk, which is a very interesting dynamic. Couple of links here from Reynor, trying their very best to get some damage in. Now you can see that +1 armor really paying off. +1 armor just simply makes such a big difference when it comes to just straight up Zergling versus Zergling fights. Additional gas is now also being taken by Rogue. So this is unscouted, of course, right now by the Zerg player in blue. So this definitely does mean he plans on committing to quite a lot of Mutalisk. And obviously, even with +1 missile, he could go back to Roach play, but he could also just stick to Zerglings and then Mutalisk, which is a surprisingly uncommon strategy these days. But if you can successfully contain your opponent on 3 bases, right, and can prevent that 4th base from ever going up, you can definitely get a lot of value out of this. So I'm curious to see how Rogue is going to respond. Sometimes we see Zerg players in Zerg vs. Zerg only get a couple of mutas, like 3 to 4, just to force the response, and that's kind of the damage they meant to deal. So they just go Overlord hunting, and that's about it. Rogue, though, getting a nice little run by here as well. A lot of roaches for Reynor are now currently moving here on the left-hand side. They are being chased down by an Overseer, so Rogue 100% aware of exactly what's going on. And you can see these +1 armor Zerglings really do much better, right? They do much better. Normally it takes a roach with +1 missile only 2 hits to kill a Zergling. Right now it's taking them 3. Roaches, though, did make their way across the map. There are a couple of defensive roaches here coming up as well for Rogue. Queen's also forced to pull off the line. +1 missile, of course, is done for both of these players. And I think that Rogue is more than enough to keep this blue Zerg player back. All right, 9 mutas. I love this. Even though Rogue was up with his back against the wall, right, against a whole lot of opposing roaches, he still decided to save up enough to make immediately 9 Mutalisk, which definitely is a little bit of a risk. You gotta put faith in the amount of units that you have to defend. And then even going up to 11 right now, he's going to be able to really start roaming that mapping and get that map control. So it's not going to be the style where he only grabs a couple of mutas. This is a substantial amount of mutas that's definitely meant to deal damage. Question is he going to send them straight across the map? For now, they're mostly just flapping around right here. I guess he's waiting for the full 11 before he shows them to his opponent, which is fair enough, but he is now going back to Roach play and +2 missile as well, so he's definitely not going to stick with this for too long. Now look at this, right? Rogue created this path through the center of the map, scouting where all the overlords are located, making it impossible for Reynor to know about these mutas until right now. That does mean, I think there's a lot of drone kills coming up. The first queen already taking a lot of damage, although the roaches are now shoving across the map. Reynor realizing what he needs to do. He's immediately going to go for a counterattack here with the roaches that he does have to prevent these mutas from fighting near his bases. Well, the roaches in blue definitely are in plentiful numbers right now. One overlord getting tickled there for just a little bit. One muta actually, one corrosive bow actually rather, hitting those mutas, but eventually, right, Reynor's army is just simply much bigger. That's the downside of going for mutas. Yes, eventually they're going to be able to kill this, but the question is there not going to be way too much damage dealt here by the blue roaches before the mutas can clean it all up? Reinforcing roaches right now, though, coming out here for Rogue. He did decide to go for that 4th base as well. Couple drones here end up dying, but it's all pretty much just an eye for an eye. And of course, Reynor, while he did get himself a 4th base as well, he now also built up that time to go for the defense against the mutas. So we see spore crawlers pretty much everywhere. This should be something he can work with. Now, the tunneling claws upgrade, actually. Interesting quick play there by Reynor. Particularly against mutas. On paper, it doesn't really make sense to go for the tunneling claws, but I guess it can deal a lot of damage. Well, it did just finish up. At the same time, though, roaches right here moving towards that 4th base. Rogue obviously has got his own 4th base already up and running, whereas Reynor, he can't really do very much because the mutas are still out. Second Roach Warren now coming up here for Reynor. He's up with his back against the wall. Is he going for 2 Roach Warrens? Sure is. Better go for 2 Roach Warrens, right? Just throw mud at a wall, maybe you can get some work done, see what sticks. Couple of the tunneling claws roaches, desperately trying to get some value in as well. They managed to get 2 worker kills there in total. A few more are trying to tunnel across right now too, but I've got a feeling that they will be relatively easy to pick up. Although Tunneling Claws, though, from time to time can really deal a stupid amount of damage. Spine Crawler is already being built right now at the disposable bases, right? Look at that. Or the exposed bases, rather. Nicely done here by Rogue. Really playing defensively. He doesn't want to take any silly amounts of damage. And now with Rogue already going up to 5 bases and his opponent still being stuck at only 3, this is definitely something that Reynor has to keep in mind. In the long run, economically speaking, he's gonna be in a world of trouble. The Roach is still going to target fire down whatever they can. There's no Spore over here, so they are just simply going to tunnel back to another location once more. Muta's trying to get whatever value they can. I don't think they're really going to be able to get too much over here, though. Yeah, a little bit of sloppy micro there by Rogue. But Rogue is currently maxed out. I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to be ever going to be seeing a big attack across the map in order to try and deny that 4th base from Reynor once more. There we go. The Roaches and Ravagers. They're all gearing up to make one big push. Denying this 4th base would be absolutely critical, right? Because if you can force your opponent into small eco, you can get so much value out of it. And once again, right, the Mutas, while they haven't really done any critical damage, they've done a great job just simply zoning. And once more, the 4th base will be denied. And that's critical, man. 5 base play right here for our player in red versus only 3 right now for Reynor. At the same time, while this is going on, a couple of Roaches made their way across the map. They're still tunneling. And while both players are taking a lot of damage here and there, even the Spore Crawlers now being corrosive biled, Reynor is trying to do what he can. He's successfully identified that there is a very Ravager-heavy army and that there's no Overseer up above. But still, right, while he's dealing a little bit of damage here and there, it doesn't really matter because Rogue is still mining so much more than his opponent. Corrosive Biles preventing this really from, you know, getting up and running once more. And that's really Rogue's plan. He doesn't want to fight the bases. He doesn't want to close the game out right now necessarily and risk it. He just wants to prevent that economy. 5th base for Rogue just finished up here as well. He's now also transitioning towards the Lurker Den. Lurker Den already out. Oh man, and there's now also an Overseer. So right as he wants to, there we go. We see the Hydralisk coming out. And I think that Rogue is going to be making that big switch towards the Lurkers here in just a little bit. Reynor definitely in a tough spot right now, although his opponent is very Ravager heavy. The Corrosive Biles are good, but they are not landing really on the Roaches. Looks like Rogue may have just overstayed his welcome for a little bit too long. Reinforcing Roaches now also coming up though. They're still going to be able to deal quite a bit of damage here and there, but eventually this army from Rogue will be deflected, although right at that point, of course, the Mutas come in to just be a little bit more annoying. Rogue though, since he's got that sick eco, right, immediately remaxed. He immediately went back up to 200 minerals and gas, which is definitely solid work. Couple of Roaches now also guarding that 5th base. The Mutas are still dealing some damage, but I think at this point he kind of wants to sacrifice them. I mean, you don't really want to, like, get rid of them necessarily, but you don't really want to have 20 supply caught up in Mutas at this point in the game either. The Lurkers are now available, and I think Rogue is going to try once again to go after that 4th base. This is sort of like a soft contain of the eco that here is available. Reynor, of course, also not going for his own defending Lurkers, but still, Lurkers are very much so a positional unit. It's difficult to get that value, and once more, the 4th base gets denied. At the same time, couple of Roaches tunneling across the map. Rogue has started what seems to be a bit of a slow push. Beautiful micro there by the South Korean Zerg player, really getting a lot of value, but this is nice. Right, this is the push that he was looking for. The Mutas finally will be able to flap their little wings back home as well to go after this push. Couple of Roaches trying to move into that 3rd base of Reynor. Not quite gonna happen. Looks like the 4th base is in a lot of trouble, and actually the 5th as well. Rogue definitely losing quite a bit, and actually sending more and more Roaches across right now is Reynor. Sure, he may not have the eco, but he's still got a substantial amount of Lurkers here, preventing his bases from being overrun. Roaches will be able to make their way in there. A couple of Roaches now also, I think those were the ones that were originally fighting the 4th, made their way towards the 3rd base. 5th base is going to take critical damage here in a little bit, and the same can be said right here for the 4th. Rogue desperately trying to get the value here, but it's not quite happening. That Overseer is obviously observing where all of those Lurkers are located, and there's just a little bit too much. Reynor with a really smart counterattack, right? Going for lurkers on a relatively small eco, used the lurkers for defense and then sent pretty much all of his roaches across the map. He just managed to snipe not only 2 bases, but also a stupid amount of economy. And he's not done yet. Finally securing himself a 4th base right now as well. I think that Rogue assumed that he could win the game right then and there, but that was not quite the case. Roaches right now, inside of that main base of Rogue as well. He's falling apart, man. I was looking at this and I wasn't entirely sure what people were saying that this game right here was so very good. Right? Because that seemed to be extremely one-sided up to a certain point. Rogue was in 100% control until a couple minutes ago. He was not slipping up in any way, shape, or form, controlling his opponent beautifully, showing us how to play mutas in this matchup. But right now, right, with those lurkers providing that value, all of a sudden he might be in trouble. Well, speaking of lurkers, there's still a couple of them burrowed on the ground. Rogue, of course, knows that they deal bonus damage against roaches in particular, and you gotta be very careful if you are the player who's pushing into a bunch of lurkers. I'm sure we've all been there. Once again, though, ooh, these ones will be spotted immediately. Once again, Reynor did decide to try and see if he could do some damage, but not quite gonna happen. He's really keeping these mutas alive for a really long time. That's the thing about mutas, man. They're so hard to play, but if you play them effectively, like Rogue has been doing so far, you can get a lot of value out of it just because you get map control, right? You deny your opponent overlord vision, you really just allow your opponent to sit back, and you're the one who gets to do whatever he likes, right? Sniping a little bit here and there, it's very frustrating, can be extremely, extremely good as well. Lurkers once again available though. Yeah, Rogue attempting to come in here, but it's not quite gonna happen. Man, I love these subtle little moves in ZVZ. Somehow, some way, Reynor seems to be countering Mutalisk with roaches, which kind of is ironic in a way, right? He's not usually what you would expect. One lurker there will find its grave, but these mutas definitely are once more gonna chase down the roaches, and I don't think these roaches are really gonna achieve very much, but they are buying a lot of time. It looks like a lot of them will die here, but at the same time, on the left-hand side of the map, we do see once more these roaches and ravagers moving forward. Well, that's a lot of lurkers. There is no way Reynor can push into that. I'm sure we've all made that mistake, right? Pushing into lurkers once upon a time in our StarCraft careers. Be it with Protoss, be it with Terran, be it with Zerg. Lurkers basically kill everything on the ground. But they have to be in position. And once again, right? Well, while these roaches here will be spotted, I feel like they're still going to be able to deal quite a bit of damage. Once more, Rogue, who wanted to be going for the killing move there, is forced to send his army back home. The roaches inside of his main being an absolute nuisance. Now both players, actually is he at Hive? No, he's still at Lair actually. Okay, I was gonna say I think both players are looking for that Hive tech here in just a little bit. Ooh, Reynor trying to go after the Lurker Den, not quite getting it there. Lurker Den is currently getting that advanced talents upgrade, which is it's gonna make these lurkers much faster to burrow. Usually in the ultra late game of ZVZ, well, hold that thought. Usually in the ultra late game of Zerg vs Zerg, we do see players switching towards Vipers. I've seen some crazy games where it's Brute Lord versus Brute Lord, which is very weird. But Vipers, there we go. Vipers are really good, because Blinding Cloud does work on lurkers. At the same time though, a couple of lurkers here on the left-hand side, while they are really good at dealing with ground, obviously in bigger numbers they can still be overwhelmed. But with Blinding Cloud on top of lurkers, they can no longer use their spines. And obviously that makes this a very, very good game still for Rogue. Rogue currently behind here in supply, but he's got that tech advantage. He's now also going for the +3 missile upgrade here, which I think is really, really nice. At the same time, we do see a couple of roaches once again trying to make their way towards the 5th base right now of a Reynor. Rogue is going to be deflected once again. But I do think that this is now a winnable position, though, for Reynor. What he does need is that Hive, right? The Hive is right now coming up. But this is going to be some really interesting, what seems to be a Lurker Viper versus Lurker Viper battles, right? Obviously, Roaches will still be part of that engagement as well. But it's going to be very much so coming down to that positional play. Kind of feels like Terran versus Terran with like Siege Tank Liberator versus Siege Tank Liberator in a way. The units kind of function the same way. Gotta be careful, though. Reynor are definitely gonna lose a lot of roaches there for practically free. At the same time, he did manage to snipe a couple of those units. Vipers are now also being displayed. He's actually using Blinding Cloud as a means to zone this army. Eventually, the Lurker Den rather does end up going down, but the question is Reynor not sacrificing a little bit too much here, right? He's going for a phenomenal amount of run-bys, microing like 3 different battles at once, but he's losing a lot of units. If he could snipe the Evo Chamber, that could be absolutely disastrous here for Rogue. At the same time, once again, small army here pushing forward. Did he rebuild the Lurker Den? No. I don't know if Rogue realized yet that he lost the Lurker Den. He kind of needs to build... Yeah, okay. He needs to build a new one. There we go. A new one is coming up. Otherwise, you could be caught with your pants down very quickly. And actually, where it was Rogue previously who was forcing his opponent into this soft contain, right now Reynor is doing the exact same thing. He's got 5 bases up and running. He's maxed out in supply. He's got hive tech. He's got basically everything he needs. However, he's still going up against Rogue. And Rogue, he is known, in case you're unfamiliar, to having some of the best late game in StarCraft 2 imaginable. That's the way that he won a lot of his tournaments. In particular, at the end of 2017, his late game was just simply better than anyone else's. This man right here, the one with the blue units, or the red units rather, is absolutely phenomenal at playing with the late game units, and I would say that's really where he shines. I've also got a feeling that he's probably going to have a lot more experience playing the late game in ZVZ, because, you know, he's been around for a lot longer. Like, literally, in years. 5th base, ooh, does take a lot of damage, and Rogue is going to be killing it as well, but Reynor ended up losing a big chunk of his units. At the same time, man, these players are fighting, right? Remember that knife fight inside of a phone booth? Both players are mostly just having blunt knives right now, I guess. They're just trying to stab each other, but it doesn't really do very much. They're both taking a little bit of damage here and there, but Reynor's got to be careful that he doesn't overextend, right? It's very easy to overextend against a player like Rogue. He's very good at making those decisions. Eventually, those lurkers there on the left-hand side will be cleaned up, but at the same time, Reynor once again sent a small hit squad of roaches here to watch that 5th base as well. He's also still got roaches in the top left-hand corner, so they're gonna swoop in right when his army is distracted, but lurkers were left behind, and, well, with +3 spine upgrades, you can most definitely expect those roaches to go down very, very quickly. Both players now having these Vipers and Lurkers out, right? No detection here. There's no detection here. Reynor's got to be careful. Once again, forced to get on out of there. You can start putting Blinding Clouds everywhere, but it's hard to make that call. At the same time, Rogue once again trying to get into position. Reynor did leave some units behind to once again go after that 5th base. The Zerg player in blue, of course, is mining much more than his opponent, but still, this is a very slippery slope. It's all gonna come down to the positioning of this army. No lurkers here in this composition right now for Rogue, or at the very least not located over here. Both players do have their Vipers. They could even go ahead and abduct some of the opposing Vipers to try and snipe them with the Hydralisk. Still, the lurkers of Rogue are right now here. He's gotta be careful. Beautiful corrosive balls there, but they just barely do not get the detector there. Overseer will live to fly another day, but this is where Rogue is so scary. Once again, Reynor managed to deny the 5th base, but it doesn't matter if there's this, you know, this layer, this line of lurkers sitting outside of the natural expansion of Reynor. Even one of the Vipers there will get sniped, and Rogue, he's just simply... Oh my god, that's weird. That's not how physics work. Did you see that? A Viper just abducted a Viper? And they both did so at the same time, and somehow they switched position. That's not how physics works, man, but... Still, this is, you know, this is like Gandalf right here, right? And you know, he may try and be the badass. He may have that whip to whip it around the ankle, but it doesn't matter if the majority of the tech gets lost in the process. I think that Reynor has to go for it, though, at some point, right? He still has a lot of Vipers. Blinding Clouds are still available everywhere. He needs to land them right on top of these lurkers. Rogue is still with the smaller army, though. Keep that one in mind, right? Rogue still has a smaller army. Oh my god, is he actually gonna do this? He was like 130 supply versus 180 or so earlier. He was like 50 supply behind. So many overlords will find their grave over here as well. Oh my god, Rogue, no way. He was effectively playing 3 base versus 5 base there. But he's got this phenomenal position, right? He swooped in, burrowed the lurkers, and right now he's leveraging this position to snipe 3 bases. And sure, there's a small group of roaches here as well for Reynor, and this is really well done by him, right? Killing bases. But I feel like it's mostly gonna come down to this army fighting the opposing army. Obviously, another option right now for Reynor was just to try and maybe rebuild some of his tech over here. I wouldn't even be surprised if he takes a base over on this side, right? That would not be a bad idea, actually. He can just retake a lot of these bases, because Rogue is going to be the one who has to make a move over there, and actually, Reynor is still mining more than his opponent. He obviously also does still have a pretty large defensive army. It's very difficult for Rogue to push into this position here, too. So if he has these roaches that he can counterattack with, there's still a lot of value to be gotten over here, too. Reynor now, though, going for the standard 25-minute spawning pool. Not quite what you want. The 25-minute spawning pool is not a very common strategy. Actually, spawning pools take a surprisingly long time to build. You don't really realize it, because you obviously get them really early on. Well, I wonder if Reynor is going to try and go for this all-in, though. Ooh, nicely done. Beautiful abduct there by Rogue. Both players sending changelings left and right. Rogue is not really mining, though, guys. I mean, he needs to get another base going. I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to, like, take the one over here, or maybe just one where he can leverage this eco that he has. Oh my god, man. Vipers abducting Vipers is so ironic. Blinding clouds here for the lurkers to try and throw their spines forward. This is right here, very much so, undiscovered territory, okay, in StarCraft. Players are very good at playing the first 10 minutes of the game. Much better at playing the first 5, but hold that thought, because I think that Reynor wants to go for it. He's got a very menacing army. Those blinding clouds are dealing a stupid amount of damage. Reynor is overwhelming that opposing army, and he's now trying to see if he can shoot that army away from his natural. At the same time, though, Rogue tried to split off some of his units, sacrificing those lurkers to try and go after the 5th base of Reynor instead. 13 drones there do end up dying. Still, this is a very strong Roach Ravager ball. Great micro there outside of those corrosive biles. Rogue really trying to not get hit by those to the best of his abilities. Those blinding clouds providing so much value as well. Rogue was so far behind earlier, but I think he may have done it. Well, has he though? The defender's advantage obviously coming into play. This matchup will end, I guess, with Roaches and Ravagers fighting Roach, Ravager, Hydra. Vipers trying to do whatever they can. Once again, one of those Vipers will get abducted. And that does mean that Rogue's army is a little bit bigger than his opponent. He's now also taking a base in the top left-hand corner. So he's going to continue mining here in just a little bit. Obviously, though, he can still pull the drones, right? Reynor, that is. He can still pull the drones and have them soak up a lot of the damage. Zergling's now even being produced once again. Are we going to go back to Zergling, Baneling at this point in the game? It would actually be pretty good. A lot of those changelings actually being used right now as sort of like a force field. You see that? Those lurkers, oh my god, that's so sick. The Ravagers are not fighting. Reynor's units are not fighting because of the fact that the changelings of Rogue, oh my god, were preventing those Ravagers from getting into the engagement. And Reynor GG's out. Oh my god. That was really, really, really cute. I think if those two Ravagers would have been fighting there, and they would have not been surrounded by changelings. So what he did, he dropped all of the energy that he had on his overseers into changelings, right? And he basically selected half of them to right-click on one of the Ravagers, and then the other half on the other Ravager. And apparently that was enough to prevent them from fighting when he microed his Roach Hydra ball backwards. What a game. That was epic. That was really, really good. I hope you enjoyed watching that. I know there's a lot of naysayers out there for Zerg vs. Zerg in particular. I personally love it, man. That was really sick. I hope you enjoyed watching this match. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. A special shout out to the Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for all the love. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day, okay? Do not forget to smile. And I'll see you once again in the next one.